Let's bring in Elisabeth Kendall. She joins me as a Middle East expert at Girton College, part of the University of Cambridge. Do you fear a regional conflict following these strikes?
Yes, I do fear that these strikes could spark a circle of conflict that could fan out into the region. I think we'd be foolish if we didn't think that was a real possibility. And the reason for that is that the Houthis have been at civil war now in Yemen for 9 years. So they are not the kind of group that is deterred by strikes. The Saudi-led coalition launched over 25,000 airstrikes against the Houthis over the last 9 years, and they're still, nominally at least, at war. So I don't think that bodes very well. Meanwhile, our own record in the Middle East has not looked so great, and the Houthis are aware of that. The US withdrew rather ignominiously from Afghanistan. We were not that successful in Iraq. So they're full of confidence. And it's not at all clear that some targeted strikes by the US and the UK and partners could hold them back.
But, put it into the context for us, because how big a threat are they really? Can they really stand up to a US-led coalition?
It's easy to underestimate the Houthis. Now, if the US were to unleash all of its military might against the Houthis, no, they would not be able to stand up to that. But that would result in a full, all-out regional war, no doubt. Don't forget that what the Houthis have been doing in the Red Sea is extremely irritating and expensive for us in the West and beyond. But inside Yemen and more broadly in the Arab world, it's actually quite popular because the Houthis have framed themselves as the defender of Palestine, and no one else seems to be defending the Palestinians. So unleashing our military might against the Houthis would not be popular around the Arab world.
The Houthis in Yemen, similar to Hezbollah in Lebanon, are backed by Iran. Through that lens, how do you see Tehran reacting to these strikes?
It's quite possible that Tehran will unleash more of its so-called axis of resistance. And so far, it's been fairly restrained in how it's dealt with those partners. But it's worth remembering that Israel is entirely encircled by Iran's axis of resistance. We've got, the Houthis here in the south, in Yemen and in the Red Sea to the south of Israel. We've got Hezbollah in the north, in Lebanon. We've got Iran-backed Shias in the east and in the northeast. So and of course, Hamas in the west. So it really could look quite bad for Israel if things do spiral into all-out conflict.
And take us to Yemen specifically. I mean, this is a country already devastated by years of civil war. How could an escalation with the United States and its partners and allies impact this country and its civilians?
It is a country that's been ravaged by civil war already. And as I said, airstrikes by the Saudi coalition, over 25,000 of them, have already pummeled the areas controlled by the Houthis. But the problem now is that the Houthis have entered into an agreement with their warring partners inside Yemen, something that was announced by the United Nations Special Envoy just before Christmas, that provides a roadmap to potentially a Yemeni political process which might lead to peace. If we now add Western airstrikes and the outlawing of the Houthis into the mix, then that could jeopardize that process, and that will have knock-on effects around Yemen. So I think, just to sum up, I think it would be unwise to underestimate the Houthis. They've been at war now on-off for nearly 20 years, 9 of them in a civil war. They haven't given up, and they operate by a very different logic from ours. They believe that they've got God on their side, they're highly confident, and they are highly tolerant of a great number of casualties on their side in a way that we wouldn't be. So this is a dangerous moment.
Elisabeth Kendall from the University of Cambridge, thank you.
You're welcome.